Hello everybody, hello dear friends at the United Nations, Human Resources, Secretary General António Guterres. Nice to meet you or to make a new video again for you. My name is Fanny Menardi and I am recording this very special video, especially for you and to answer your job opportunity to be your special assistant of the Secretary General of the United Nations. I'm very excited, so I've prepared a little presentation, of course, about my journey, because yesterday was my birthday, May 13, 2024. I am 38 years old. So that made me think about all my journey, and I want to talk, of course, about the mission of the United Nations. And I prepared a little documentary about the school where I work, Idea School, to interview some leaders and action makers in our community. And I'm going to give you a little tour of my library, my personal library, and the library at school, because apparently I am meant to be in libraries, and to show you my art collection that would be available, that I would love to gift, to make available for the United Nations. I have a very diverse background. I've been a languages teacher all of my life. When I became a mother, I started painting, so I have a great art collection about mandalas and symbolism from all around the world, cultural symbols, religious symbols. Created travel books. I've traveled to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Peru, Nicaragua, Mexico, Europe, to end up in America. I also worked in Peru and in Bahrain in the Middle East. So I wrote travel books to start with, to promote cultural diversity, because the root of every war on earth is often religion or misunderstanding between cultures. So when I travel with my own eyes and I see all the beauty all around, and then I sometimes go back to the United States or to France and I meet people that are a little bit more close-minded, I wish that they would see the world through my own eyes or through other eyes, to see that there's different perspective with every problem. And I think that you can apply this to a wide range of topics, that is education, culture, politics, environment. So I'm also a science teacher. I just got certified in science in December, because the art journey and the passion for nature and the environment took me to understanding that what happens in the microcosm is what writes our experiences. We believe that we have a psychology, that we have traditions, but in fact, when you study science, you realize that everything, all of our behaviors are written in our DNA. The way that cells interact with each other is how humans interact with each other. So in order to reprogram our mindset is very difficult sometimes, because it's inherent to our own biology. So it's like a learning. When you recode a mindset or you recode the whole society, you have to repeat and repeat and repeat until it's engraved into your brain, engraved into your cells, so you can pass it on to the next generation. So seeing your work at the United Nations and how committed you are. One day I heard Mr. Guterres talking about how he wanted to make his daughter proud, or when he was in front of a full assembly talking about the nuclear blackmail, how this must end, why keep building weapons that we are not meant to use? What a waste of budget, and what a waste of energy in political negotiations and relationships, and in terms of trust between allies. This is something that I truly believe we should work to make disappear from the planet. So negotiating, of course, with Russia and other countries that are not necessarily allies, but finding a common ground, a common interest to renew negotiations. For example, Russia is very interested into electric transportations, electric trains, the energy transitions. They are passionate about the space race. So this is a common ground that we can use to respond to a global challenge, which is the global warming, the environment, and the wars, redirecting the budget, of course, from wars to reduce poverty, but also reducing the risks of catastrophes. So my first step, this is part of an action plan that I wrote already, would be to work with different embassies all around the world to verify the map and repertory of the nuclear weapons, to agree with all the countries in the world to go ahead and start the disarmament and making them disappear. So of course some of them are mobile, so we would have to not do this as in a sneaky way, but as of official negotiation and agreement, even with our opponent competitors, right? For a higher vision. That could be the Space Olympics 2030. Imagine a giant space race, because everybody, every culture since the beginning of times has been in this warrior spirit. It shows greatness, it shows excellence. So warriors, Olympics, all this has always existed, even in the Roman Empire, the Mayans. So keeping this warrior spirit, but in a ecological and safe way that doesn't involve you being scared that your husband is not going to come home because he's going to war. No, he's going to the space race, and they're playing with super eco-friendly, super efficient spaceships, because we redirected all our budget from rockets to maybe slowing down the space race for a few years, but here 5-10 years from now, going way faster, like an arrow. I always use the arrow stepping back to come back stronger. So we could play laser tag pretty much in space. And imagine playing laser tag around the Earth, like Aurora Borealis, and it's actually our best pilots in the world, like the Thunderbirds and the Blue Angels and the Russian Air Force, that are here working their war fantasies into something that actually can inspire the world. So this is what I think about. Somehow I woke up one day with this anti-gravity formula, and I wrote a whole mastermind about it, and I did some paintings actually that led me to writing a giant encyclopedia. So this is my encyclopedia. It's 600 pages. This is just the half of it that I wrote especially for the United Nations. So of course at the beginning it was a small workshop for my business, but then there was so much more information that it became a catalog of all the mentors or the organizations, institutions, government that inspired me to continue on my journey, and believing that a little French girl that came and was a mom, desperate housewives, but passionate about all these dreams, could actually work for it and make it happen against all odds, coming back from the abyss and all of a sudden applying for a position to the greatest organizations in the world. You can have the greatest dreams, but if you don't have a teacher or a family member or a mentor or people that uplift you along the way to make you believe that it's possible, it's too easy to give up. So that changed my life so much in many ways, good and bad, because I took some risk to get there. But when you see from the other side and you're looking back, and now I can tell my friends, you just had a baby, look in front of you, but look where you're going to be in 4 years. Maybe you should take a degree right now, so when you look back, it's behind you, not in front of you. But all that to say that I wish that other people could know about it. So I repertorized all of that in this giant encyclopedia in a very strategic and progressive way that includes the art from a background. So the background at all levels, right? The artistic level, the background of a painting, but the background of a person also at the professional level, for example, where we're going to talk about this in an interview with my principal in a little bit. How can your background influence your trajectory, and what do you need to fill the gaps to reach your dreams? So this encyclopedia is available to you already. I posted it online on my website. It includes a ton of masterminds, practical activities about the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, activities that I use with my students in class, business plan projection at the short term, long term, middle term, because a vision board workshop, because when you envision, when you have your projects in front of you, you're more likely to remember every day what you're doing it. So putting one foot in front of the other to keep going and actually realizing it, than having just an idea one time and forgetting about it or giving up because you just forgot that you could. Okay, so here you have, see, this is an example of the Inca trilogy, for example. You can see I have a beautiful papyrus behind me, the coronation of Isis. So hopefully we get some coronation and celebration energy this month and this year, hopefully. Here I have the prophecy of Pachacuti, which is the time when the eagle and the condor will fly together in the sky. Then the world will know peace. So the condor, of course, the spirit of the Incas, the Andes, the wisdom, the spirituality, and the eagle, the emblem of America that represents the force, the expertise, the empowerment, the strategy, the power, but also the technology. The technology, that's the word I was looking for. You have also a great study of the Metatrons cube that unlocked knowledge within me while I was painting. Of course, watching conferences while I was painting, I was integrating the knowledge and channeling through to put it in the painting, but I was also unlocking my own consciousness to access the general library, the Akashic record as we call it, and that everybody can access only if you could trust your intuition. And a lot of people that joined me along the journey, we all got hooked up, if I can say, because by connecting and realizing how we were receiving the same informations instantly at the same time made us have no other choice than acknowledging the existence of a frequency, how you can tap into certain frequencies to convey a harmonious global message that can uplift everybody else, because this is an echo, as everybody's echoing each other with the same message that could be a little atypical, that not everybody usually hears. Then the more you listen to it, the more it becomes normalcy, and you can accept it, or even if you don't accept it, at least be aware that there is something different. I wanted to show, so I have also, of course, some pages about our government with the State of the Union, the speech from Joe Biden with the State of the Union. I have a full chapter about the United Nations, the Alpha Omega, with Robert Grant, that is one of your speakers. The Metatrons cube here, that is one is called Mastermind. This is actually the initial painting that I painted for my mentor, that I call Masterminds. It's a Metatrons cube, and that symbolizes the connection and the network, which I've been actually manifesting since I painted all that. So my idea with this encyclopedia is to publish it, to have it in a paper version, because when you have beautiful books, so I'm going to show you right now actually my library, and so you can see I have beautiful books. I have books from Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, The Tablets of Emerald, The Fire Letters, that is Inca. This encyclopedia, you see, this encyclopedia, the animals, I got this when I was 10 years old. That was a gift from my father. I still have my school books here, Molière. I will always remember Le Misanthrope, Andromaque, Les Fourberies de Scapin. I will always remember when I was in my prep class For literature, these are all my travels from around the world: Cambodia, Bahrain, Peru, the White Mountains in Peru, Arequipa, the Grand Canyon, the Canyon del Colca, Mesa Verde, souvenir from Egypt with some of my oracles, a map from the Nile. Look at this beautiful papyrus. Like, doesn't it make you want to go travel? This is absolutely gorgeous. I was there, guys. Some friends that I made along the way in Peru, in Vietnam, a little girl on the road in the Sacred Valley of the Incas, some postcards from a Chinese exhibition in Nice, some postcard from Elspeth MacLean, who is a very famous Dadaist artist, who made a beautiful book, Jewels of Nature. This is the first painting from the first apartment where I went in Peru. There was someone abandoned this painting in the room that I was renting, and I was always mesmerized by this painting that represents the Pachamama, and I couldn't believe someone left it, but then I was like, it's a gift for me, and I kept it. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Coronation of Isis. I talk in one of my videos about how I acquired this, how I got, how do you say that? I got trapped by the vendors that were giving me a favor because they were doing a favor for me, and he had to go see his uncle, and he brings me to his uncle, and his uncle happens to be the owner of a papyrus museum, and they locked me in there until I gave them all my money. But I didn't regret it, because look at this beauty. Like, that was incredible. And of course, behind me, my beautiful Christmas tree with my support to our government that I'm so proud about. They are so inspirational. Kamala Harris, first woman vice president, Mr. Joe Biden, that is leading with such empathy and compassion, and yet can, be tough in his decisions. I think this is really something that is needed for this position at the United Nations, to be empathetic, but also have strategy, and also knowing how to be firm when you want something, because there's a lot of interest. For example, standing up against the pharmaceutical lobbies or the weapon industry. It's not that you're standing up against, it's that they have to evolve with their times and the requirement of the world, the Security Council, and environmental requirements like the climate change, climate action, sustainable development goals and stuff like that. So at some point, when technology becomes so evident, you can't just keep taking the wrong directions because of profit. Of course, medicine is here to help us, but you can't close the door to the new types of medicine, like holistic medicines, or accelerating the path to new technologies just because everything works on oil. Everything is cheaper now, the cars, because it works on oil. Everything is already installed. Of course, it's easier to keep going in this direction, but if you're going to the wrong direction, it's going to be even more difficult later to step back and make a complete drastic change where we won't be able to drive anymore because it will be forbidden. It will be you breathe or you drive. So now is the time that we're at this pivoting point to make the change, and we don't have a choice. We have to act like we don't have a choice. So I'm also very familiar with the US Navy protocols and missions, because I was married with a chief in the Navy for 8 years. So we've traveled all around America, in Bahrain even together. I was working there when he was working there. So I'm very familiar with any worldwide culture. Actually, I would love to speak Russian or Arabic. That's always been one of my dreams. So once I have opportunities to do so, I will. As always, culture is interconnected with politics, environment, and anthropology, which commands a scientific background to solve global issues, meet the challenges, and implement legit tools and strategies. As a certified science teacher in the state of Florida, I will use my skills and determination to facilitate the global transition from fossil fuels to renewable energies. Establishing a sustainable partnership with Nassima Remain, of course, the scientists that you're already working with them, they made their way finally to the United Nations, and I'm so grateful for that, because these are people that, scientists that you see along the years. It's not from a day to another, oh, he's successful, let's listen to him. I can tell you I've been following them since the time of the Resonance Science Foundation, when they were still doing courses. I followed almost all their courses. That they always do with such integrity and care, compassion, but there's no word, it's just like heart for what they do and the vision of the purpose of the outcome, you know, of what it is for a whole humanity. So I'm a very huge fan of Nassima Remain. I want to sit at a table with them, and I believe that he and his team have to be at every panels and table discussion, decision table, because you always need to have that scientific background and input when you're making laws, new laws, or sending new projects, to make sure it's going to have the right impact on the environment, and also to establish a strategic plan for the next 10, 20 years. So I am so passionate. I would be honored to work with you, help you go faster, write your speeches. Every time I hear you talking, like I said, in front of an assembly, standing up against the thing that nobody would dare because they would be too scared, and Mr. Guterres always brings his wisdom, try to bring negotiation, even though sometimes he's been slammed afterwards by other countries. It's hard to be a mediator. You're also a shield, you're a catalyst, and I completely understand your mission and your vision. I will travel with you, organize, protect you, write your speeches, represent you in every condition. I'm very good at writing, at communication, adapting my communication style to any audience. As you can see, even my hairstyle, I work in a school where all the girls are wearing braids all the time. So for my birthday, I wanted to honor them. And I went and got these beautiful, amazing braids that make them all happy and jealous. No, I'm just kidding, just a little bit. But yeah, so that was really fun. And integrating Native American cultures into our society. So how do we get help? Where am I? How do we help women be the guardians of the earth and their children? By developing an economic framework adapted to a thriving community, giving them opportunities with decent salary, flexible schedules, access to technologies, conferences, and data bank to get in touch with the right governments, interlocutor, leaders, and action takers. And you will see that the people that I'm going to interview here in a little bit correspond exactly at those ideas, because when I write, the first time I wrote to an application to the United Nations, I remember I put my strategic plan for a school, because the school where my son was, they were asked $50,000 from a guy that established a communication plan for them. So of course they couldn't afford that. I wrote the same exact thing for free. And it was like a cultural plan for the school, right? Cultural integration. And I put this in my first application, and today I removed it because there was a lot of documents. I had to select a few, but I replaced it by my Teach Boost ratings, that now I am inside as a teacher, and I am actually doing it. So everything that I write is not just words and things that I project because I'm really good at writing. It's things that I actually implement by going to work there, or I volunteered at the farm, I volunteered in gallery, when I was a mom, because I believed in being a mom, a home mom, to be there for my son, which I did. And also love my career, and I want to be also, you know, successful. So I always found things that I could do with my son while I was also working on my passions. So I did art workshops in a farm where I could go with him. Now I'm working with teenagers, helping them with languages, but at the same time I'm still working on my social media, my network, and the book, publishing my encyclopedia, and now writing this about women. I'm going to interview a mom, real people who really translate the struggles that we all have as mothers, as women, to do everything that society expects of us, you know, and still be grateful and not panic. So this is easier when you start seeing some rewards and not being stuck in a wheel constantly of with no opportunities. This is why one of the key words is really opportunities. Technologies, conferences, or giving them access to technologies, conferences, and data bank to get in touch with the right governments, interlocutors, leaders, and action takers. Because you know what? Moms who stay home for many years, they have nothing else to do than educating themselves, watching conferences, and reading books. So a lot of time we actually gain a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise, even if we're not working. Even though we have a giant gap in our resume, doesn't mean that we just sat there doing nothing and just cleaning the toilet or the bathroom. You know, sorry, but that's a little stereotypes. But women need that recognition. You know, we also cook, and we also can clean the pool. All right, so social media has given a true power to civil society. We are also able to reach activists from all around the world without barriers, and this is one of the greatest power of social media, is that now you can just tag someone, and if they're interested, they can go look further into your message. And if you do it consistently with the heart to really not manipulate them, but you see their struggle, you see their call, and you're first telling them, yes, we see you. Okay, we got you. Now, how are we going to work it out? So motivate, support, inspire, send help, stand for Jill, Joe, and Lady Justice. Someone's got to save the world, but until we make it happen, we must give everyone the keys to survive, and even better, to thrive. So like I said, I would love to have those magical mandalas. That was the starting point of my enlightenment. Of course, there's no starting point because it's a whole life accumulation, you know, but the mandala is really what started making it magical, and more putting words into synchronicities and all these connecting people through the art and colors, right? Because essentially, if you're doing business, there is always some things that are at stake, you know. But art, people buy art or people look at art, they're not in a state of stress, because this is their inspiration, their thing that makes them, their philosophy, things that make them think and wonder. This is not something you have to do. You look at art, and this is why you don't have that filter of being skeptical. You know, if you're skeptical with the message, but it still makes you think, you know. So this is why art, I believe, unlocked so much skills and possibilities. So my dream would be to have these collection, this art in the hall, the visitor center of the United Nations, so people who see them, they receive all that, even at the subliminal level. And we could explain, of course, all the symbolism that really represents the global vision of, cultural vision of the United States, the United Nations. I'm sorry, it's been a long day without you, my friends, but soon we will be united. and I hope we will accomplish great things. So now I'm gonna jump from one library to another and take you to my school where we're gonna talk about quality education. Hello everybody, so here we are in my workplace at Idea School. This is the library, this is my classroom. So I am a languages teacher. I teach English as a second language for the students who just arrived from South America or from Haiti and they don't speak a word of English. So I help them learn the language, and which as a byproduct help them get integrated and be more successful in their other courses. So you can see we have some beautiful projects from the students here behind me. My board with some geometry. For example, I help them learn the vocabulary that they're going to need in math so they can actually understand what they have to do for their math test. So as we are studying the Sustainable Development Goals, I want to do a special focus on quality education and introduce to you 3 true leaders in our community. So 5 years ago when I moved to Arlington, there was really nothing, and from a day to another I was driving and there was a school here. So he's going to tell you a little bit of the story. So I want to introduce Mr. Lawrence, our principal, who is a true leader and a genius, and who is a specialist as well, as he's taking his PhD in education. And the topic of his thesis is how to build schools in developing communities, because it's true that creating a school doesn't just help bring education, but it develops a new economy within a neighborhood. And now we see a mall and shops and other schools being created all around us. So that changes the dynamic of the whole neighborhood. Then I will be interviewing Ms. Castellanos, who is our E.S.E. teacher, special programs teacher, and Miss Jessi, that I will specify her name so I can pronounce it, who is also a mom. And her story was so interesting because as a mom, I refused to work until my son was 4 years old, because I thought that if I had to pay for daycare, I would spend all of my salary paying for daycare. So what was the point of me working if I had to redirect all the money for someone taking care of my son while I could be the one doing it? So she's explaining how she actually managed to study while having her 5 children. That was very impressive, beautiful story. And yesterday I was talking to one of my friends and advising her to study and to take her degrees, because she has little babies, and it's true that when you just have babies, you have all this journey in front of you that can be scary. But imagine taking a degree now that your kids are young, 4 years from now, and your degree is behind you. When your kids are in age to go to school, you have a degree, so you have more chances to actually find a job than if you just wait and see, and then 4 years from now the work is still in front of you, and this is when you really need to work right now. So that is the topic of our discussion today. How can education change your life, the life of the students, the life of the teachers? So be ready to meet some incredible people. Okay, hello everybody. Hello, Mr. Lawrence.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. So as today we're doing a video for the United Nations, and one of the main goals, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, is quality education, and we work in a school here called Idea River Bluff. I have the honor of interviewing our principal, Mr. Lawrence, and I have a few questions to ask him about a few topics. So a grow, a glow, and something really related to the global goals. So Mr. Lawrence, my first question, how do you think that Idea School, the concept of Idea School, represent a local solution to global challenges?
Yeah, so I think one of the global challenges that many nations face is how to reverse poverty, right? And those in poverty. And there's different government programs. If you give more money, give more economic opportunity, that would change it. However, we found that if you don't give the adequate, sufficient quality education, then long term, whatever money you throw at them to fix the problem short term, it doesn't last because they don't have the education on how to use their finances for long-term sustainability. So I think that's one of the local solutions that we've done here by having an education in our nation, in our school, to make sure that they are on track to go to a quality high school, of course, to give them access to a quality education at the collegiate level.
Yes, so then they can have access to better jobs. And that's actually an advice that I was giving one of my friends yesterday, because it's true that you can become an entrepreneur without having diploma. You can be really successful, but the competition is so strong everywhere you go that the diploma at least shows that you're able to complete something, that you're able to study a topic. So that also helps narrow down the selection when you're recruiting, for example, teachers. Do you look at the diplomas?
Absolutely right. So to teach, of course, you have to have your college degree, so that's already a minimum. So without that, then I can't hire that person, as a teacher. And so that definitely matters, because it shows to us that you have the necessary skills to begin this job in order to pass it on to the younger generation.
Yes, and so then fixing those global problems, you're actually training by following degrees and stuff. You're actually training people to be specialists in the issues that are to be solved at the same time, additionally to solving poverty.
Yeah, absolutely.
To give them access to jobs and stuff like that. Awesome. And we're going to be interviewing later other teachers about the special programs, how you're really investing into your teachers to have no one left behind, like every one of your students who don't speak the language or who need special accommodations. You're recruiting teachers just for these small group students to ensure that no one is left behind and quality education is provided for everybody.
Yes. Right. So definitely when we look at that, there are laws that require us to make sure those who have IEPs have access to an E.S.E. teacher, right? Those who don't speak the language have access to someone who has not necessarily speak their language, but has an ESOL background, right, or ESOL certificate. So the law just says you have to have it, but just having it doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. So really, it's around programming and structure in the school. How can you be creative and think outside of the box in order to do that? And it was a book that I read that says, like, school reform, first break all the rules, right? And so there's a standard way of doing things, but doesn't mean it works for everyone. So you have to think outside of the box and be creative to really make sure students are getting what they need to be successful.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you're talking about the framework and kind of like the box and the rules. So if you were to work in a government, if there was one thing that you would like to change that has been maybe like irritating you since you've been a school principal, or something that you think could be improved, what would it be?
That's a good one. I think really, if I have to really think about it, I would say probably when looking at some of the education laws, specifically around special education, I understand that they were created to protect, but I think also they have been used to confine and restrict educators from really doing what's necessary to push kids and make sure they're successful. So if it were me, I would create loopholes, if you will, within those laws. Give educators the freedoms to be creative and not confined by the laws, because that confining means the kid is not really getting what they need, or just getting the bare minimum, because everyone's like, oh, I'm restricted by the law, so I can't do that. Where I like to look at it as kids first, what's best for the kid first, and then where can we find the loophole in the law to make sure we can make sure that we're giving the kids what they actually need. So for me, with the government, it was like, hey, bending and changing some of those laws to create loopholes and freedoms within there, so that educators can make the best decisions for kids.
Yeah, because also the educator takes a big part. You can give a curriculum, but it's also you believe in what you teach. You will teach it so much better than if you're teaching something that's been imposed, that it doesn't really correspond whatever you teach. If you're really passionate about it, that makes me think actually about something that we've discussed before because of the Florida laws and stuff like that. For example, in Florida, it's illegal to talk about religions and all this stuff in the classroom. However, it's one of the main topics of wars in the world. So maybe educating, talking about. I know in France we have classes in civics where we debate about topics like religion, abortion, all these debatable topics in society that are all around religions and culture. So we're in the classroom, we're here debating, but that also help us see different perspectives from other students, other families, and things like that, that maybe avoids creating that taboo and that frustration within other people, and also the hate towards whoever does not think like you, because you've already been exposed to it many times. So then it becomes more of a normalcy than it's against the law, we can't talk about it.
Yeah, so I think one of the things, and I know Florida is not the not the only place. When we, as a former historian, when you really look at the development of nations, societies, and empires, right, it is all about some level of indoctrination to create this national or empirical spirit to maintain, that society. And I know some look at what's happened in Florida and some other states in the U.S. as just bad, but it's something that has been around in humanity forever. If you want to go to the ancient Ghana Empire, the ancient Egyptian Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, the ancient Greek Empire, when you look at that, there was a way of being that they put forth in order for them to continue to grow and create this empire. And so to say that humans today are no longer like that is not necessarily true, right? So in the United States, you have a Star-Spangled Banner, you have Pledge Allegiance to the flag, you have these different things, which is to create this sense of nationalism and pride in the nation, so that the nation can, sustain itself. Last time that didn't happen, where there was too many different beliefs, and then you get the Civil War, right? Yeah. And so they had to bring that back. And so it's I look at it as a historian. What's happening is no different than has happened in other nations and other empires throughout history. The difference is I'm living it versus just studying it.
Yeah, if you look at this as a classroom perspective, it's also kind of the same thing, because you need to have a certain discipline and rules, even if you don't agree to all of them, but agree to the rule of the collective to conserve, you say that, the harmony in a classroom. So in a country, that's also the same thing. You need to have one framework for everybody to kind of find this harmony, but that does not correspond to everybody necessarily.
And I think one of the things is when you really look at it is this, in the U.S., is the power of voting, right? Yeah. So who you vote in is what you get, right? And so we know our current governor here in Florida is pushing laws that some agree with and some disagree with, right? So if he's voted back in, he's going to continue that. If he's voted out, whoever comes in, if they have different political beliefs, then all those laws that the current governor put in, then those begin to change.
Yeah, it's a constant battle before.
It's a back and forth depending upon who's in political power. I think the difference you have in the in a democratic society is it can change based on who's in power, versus if it's an empirical type of nation. When you think about empires, is however long that person is in power, that is the way it's going to be in that nation. That's the way it's going to be in that empire, right? And so I think it's something unique that you have in certain democratic societies, depending on who's power. the laws will go that way. And if you study the history of it, you'll see the laws just go back and forth.
That's why it's so important to vote, everybody, okay? Because if you don't say what you want, other people will decide for you. So it's all about finding this balance between what's good for yourself and also what would actually realistically work for the collective. And my last question, thank you, that's an awesome conversation. What is it the past few years, so that would be the glow, that you've seen improve either in your career or in the educational framework that makes you proud and happy?
So I think the biggest thing that makes me happy in education is when I see the kids prosper, right? And so when there are times, especially the times that they're doubters, right? That believe certain kids can, or these groups kids cannot. When they actually do perform and we see the excellence that comes out of them, that's always my biggest glow, right? And so first year school, when we were open here, we were in portables before we had the building. There were dirt roads and everything, and many of our students were here last year. You can talk about that experience. But despite that, despite getting our computers late, getting curriculum late, we were able to get an A, right? And so that's testament to the teachers we had, testament to the students that we have, to show that with a quality education, what some people may say is impossible is actually possible.
Yeah, and that's also a great example of like persistence. And maybe sometimes I tell the teachers like, oh, you were here last year, you must have wondered what am I doing here so many times, but now that you see it actually being this giant building and all this recognition, now you're like, wow, I was part of this grind to get there and make it happen for the students. So that also makes me think of the power of mentorship, because you're mentoring every single morning. You do these videos that even though whether they pay attention every day or not, they still see consistency and how you support them and showing their qualities and also restoring discipline and stuff like that. But the power of mentorship, there's no age to start. You're starting mentoring your kids even at home when they're younger. But for teenagers, sometimes you say right now this is not what they have in mind, but to remind them, and the mentoring that is so important to remind them of their own power.
And I think that's very important to do and to guide them the right way. So even for my students here, when many of them really, they get on my nerves, I still have that belief, and some of that getting on my nerves comes from because I see much more in them than they realize that they actually have. And for me, I want to make sure that I had a guidance counselor in high school that told me I'm not college material, right? That I can't go to college. College is not for me. And so a lot of my crusade in education is to make sure that my students are never told what they cannot do, or that there's a cutoff to their level of intelligence. So,
that's the power of mentorship. Like you see in them before they even see it for themselves. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
So awesome. And now we're going to be touring the school and meeting some other teachers.
So I am here with Miss Castellanos, a beautiful, wonderful E.S.E. teacher. So my first question to you, Miss Castellanos, is how important to you is the E.S.E. program? Can you define what it is, and how does it help achieve quality education?
Hi, my name is Amy, as Ms. Menardi mentioned, and E.S.E. is Exceptional Student Education, which is also known as special education across the country. It is very important that we provide the services and supports for our students that may need a little bit more of support in academics or social, emotional behaviors. My role is to accommodate those students within the classroom, most specifically within inclusion in the general education classroom by providing accommodations and supports through services.
Awesome. So that really helps, like leaving no one behind. So those students that need extra support, that they're able to work in small groups as well.
For sure, yes. So even within the general education classroom, they also receive that extra support through small groups where students get to develop skills just like any other student would.
So you either go in a classroom with them or you put them out for special classes.
Yes. So I go in the classrooms. Here at Idea, we do support the inclusion system, but of course, every IEP educational plan is different. So depending on the needs, they may benefit.
So Amy, you just got awarded Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. I know you deserve it so much. You're always so attentive to all the teachers and all the students. So what would you say on a daily basis, and as well in the long term, looking back long term, what steps did you take to get there? Was it a vision that you had, or it just happened?
I am very passionate about being a teacher and helping others. I think coming to school and helping students and teachers and advocate for bringing the integrity to work really goes a long way. The core values of giving 100% every day, sorting the small stuff, closing the gaps. It's just important to remind myself and others that we are here for the kids and for their education, and to never give up because hard work pays off. So I like to motivate others and to join me to, strive for the best that we can. And never give up, because our kids will see the difference in their education and they will feel the impact that we do as educators in their lives.
Awesome. So what advice would you give to a new teacher that just coming in first year and has to take a whole classroom, and with all the challenges and aspirations that you have at the same time, the good and the bad?
I would just ask or tell them to ask questions. Do not be afraid to ask anybody for anything that you may need. Sometimes we are afraid in our first year to ask questions or to reach out, but at the end of the day, we're here for each other and we are here to support. So always have in mind that you have a strong team that will support you, or you find somebody that you feel comfortable with reaching out, and then just build those relationships within the teachers and the staff, so that you start building that strong foundation in your education career, like in your teaching career.
So true. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Makes the dream work.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Hello, Ms. Moulin. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you.
So you're E.S.E. teacher, so special education teacher at Idea River Bluff, and you're also a mom of 5 children.
Yes, I am.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
This was actually my question for you. How did you manage to have 5 children and pursue your career? Because sometimes it can be very challenging to have kids and actually find a job. So how did you manage that? Is this your first job right now since you had your kids, or have you been able to work along the way?
It was definitely a journey. I had my kids very young, and it definitely takes a village. Thankfully, I had the help of my mother at the time. She was able to watch my kids for a little bit before they entered daycare. Basically, I started at the bottom of the totem pole. I was a special needs assistant on a school bus, and then I became a special needs assistant, a paraprofessional in the classroom, while I was going to college full-time online, and I've worked my way up this entire time.
Wow.
It's had its challenges, but it's also been very rewarding. I get to see my kids grow up, and they also get to see me grow up and become a mature adulting, as we like to say sometimes. Yeah, it's been great. Again, it comes with its challenges. There are definitely some hardships I've had to endure, learning how to balance, getting home at 5 o'clock and having to do lesson plans and IEPs,
Yes.
along with cook dinner for my children and spend time with them as a parent.
So was it easy for you to find jobs along the way that would fit your schedule? Is this why you decided to be a teacher and work in
Oh.
schools?
100%, but I also knew from when I was probably 8 years old that I wanted to be a teacher. I love kids, and it just so happens that their schedule fits perfectly with my students' schedule, so it's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course,
Welcome
thank
to
you.
Idea. One more thing that we were just talking about that I think was interesting. So what you said that you received a lot of helps from the governments and programs and stuff to help you along the way.
Yes, I did. So I had my kids early, almost right out of high school, and pros and cons to that. But one of the pros for sure was the government assistance that I was able to use. Going to school full-time and working full-time, I had access to government assistance programs such as the Early Learning Coalition that would allow me to not have to pay so much for daycare. Daycare was paid for a lot. And then I had, I filled out my FAFSA for college, and I had my bachelor's degree, and I graduated with honors from Florida State College of Jacksonville, and I did not have to pay a penny for my tuition or my books.
Wow.
Nothing. Everything was covered by the government. So very thankful for my filling out the FAFSA, and that whole process was very seamless, and the Pell Grant, which paid for my entire tuition.
Woo! What a video, what a day. I hope you enjoyed this presentation, this vision for the future of our community, of America, this little documentary about the school where I work with, and the presentation of my encyclopedia. The name is A Team Building Mastermind, and this is really what it became, talking about how the Metatron's cube is a talisman for connection, and how little by little, while writing my book, while publishing and sharing about my painting online, there were more and more people that were attracted by the arts and started echoing the message and resonating with each other. And it just feel like, you see, I'm really wearing my braids. It's like we're tied, a community that is so tied up together, connected, shows solidarity. That was beyond what I could imagine. I usually always talk about it, but when it actually starts manifesting, it's beyond words, because it's so beautiful, it's so incredible. And then it manifests at the collective. Like I post about friends. So many ideas. Like I posted about Friends last night, and I see that Snoop Dogg, The Rock, Kim Kardashian, they're all on private jets going to, I don't know where, in France. One is in Cannes, one is in Paris. I don't know where Kim Kardashian is going, but probably to the Olympics. And first, it makes you realize how we're able to anticipate, predict what's going to happen in the future, and also to manifest it. For example, I also posted yesterday this painting with the gold, where I'm painting the gold around the mermaid, and when I was in France. And just today, I wake up this morning, I'm like, I'm gonna put some add some money on my debt account, because I have debts, and I have a savings account where I add money for these debts and stuff, which I haven't touched in a while. And I just woke up, I'm gonna put some money on this account. 3 hours later, I receive an email. We have a settlement offer. This is my last account that I need to settle with the Navy Federal. I know it's very personal, but... And so this is it. And then they called me, we negotiate the thing, and that's it. All my debt, now I have to pay it, but it's not longer pending in the air. And then I see the video, and I see all the little thing, and it made me think of all the payment plan that they sent me, and I was like, wow, how I manifest this ability that I had to manifest all my reality through just arts, just a painting, just some dots. Like, imagine our power. Why? It doesn't matter if it's dots, or if you're singing, or an actor, or a model, or an engineer. wherever it is, but because when you enter in this field of creativity, you connect with the universe. You're tapping into those energy and making energy movements and stuff like that. So you see, this week it's been a long week. It's been at school, taking care of the students, being on the phone, talking about my debts, coming home, arguing with my son a little bit. It wouldn't be a normal day. Coming home, and then I have to edit this video that I'm recording right now, the last piece. And I was like, wow, but you see all this work I've been putting in for the past few years. Always busy taking care of this and taking care of that, getting stuff done. And one more letter, and one more element, and one more chapter in the book, and one more video, and this, and this, and this. But in the end, it adds up. And the day it's going to manifest, I look back and I'm like, wow, I created really this pyramid of art and writing and the crystals. You see, for example, I have my crystals here that I bought with the colors of the United Nations and the White House. So these are my talisman. And the painting that you see behind me is the first painting I did when I came in this house. When we moved in here, it's called the House of Colors, and this is my painting that it's the painting of the house. So now I'm manifesting to be able to buy my house, and thanks to a fulfilling career and having this family, my personal family, but also the family reunited of people all around the world who joined the network. So that's the beautiful result about a work and an accomplishment of 5 years. Everything went crazy when I moved here in 2018, so a year later, 2018, so really 5 years. And Tony Robbins always say, we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and we underestimate what we can do in 5 or 10. And it's true that when every time you're like, oh, in 6 months, I'm going to have all this done. Oh, in 1 year, I'm going to have all this done. But sometimes it takes a little more. But then when I see who joined in and the friendships that I have, also friendships that were difficult here in Jacksonville with friends, that was friendships on and off, but throughout the years, you see who stays, and who's willing to make it work. And online, it's the same thing. Who stays and who comes and go. But usually when everybody puts their heart into feeding each other, then it never stops. It continues. So that's my little 143 stone. My team 143, so grateful. And another stone to finish. And that I hope will be really my little talisman for the United Nations to come up with those beautiful energy, electricity, free energy spaceships. And just yesterday I was talking about how, recording this video, how it's the change, it's difficult because everything is cheaper. The old ways are cheaper, the oil cars, the batteries. And now President Biden just announced today that they're going to start taxing like crazy all the materials that we use for the old cars, batteries. So why? How do you want to block the road to the wrong direction? Then you make the prices higher. So less and less people are going to be able to afford it. So now they're going to start being, you're going to see, they're going to start offering better payment plans with better interest and better options in everything electric cars, so facilitate. You can have all the ecology, environmental consciousness that you want when you go to the dealership. If the electric car is $40,000 and another is $20,000, if you're on a budget, then you're going to go for the cheaper. It doesn't matter if you care about the environment or not, because you have to drive to work. So rebalancing the offer so we can now make our choices from our heart and not just from our wallet. So this is happening, guys. So this little thing right here, I'm giving you an appointment in 2030 for the 2030 Space Olympics. It's been another good day where I see everything coming back together one by one, but never give up. Never give up, because if it's everything in front of you that you have to take care of, unless you make $1 million from a day to another, which is possible, but if not, you're gonna have to use strategy. And I was also so proud of myself for taking some good decisions, like refusing this loan. What I did today, my refinancing my debt, accepting a settlement for my debt, I almost made the biggest mistake of my life 2 months ago, when the bank started seeing that I had more money in my bank account because I had a paycheck now. So right away they called me. They were like, oh, we see that now you have an income, so you need to settle your debt, or they're going to try to sue you, because they see that you have money coming in and you're not paying the bank your debt. So we're offering you a refinancing of your loan, but it's going to be with high interest, like a 20% interest. So in the end, I was going to pay double. My $20,000 debt, I was going to pay $40,000 over the next 6 years, I think. And they kind of scared me, like, they're going to sue you, blah, blah, blah. I thought, like, okay, I want it settled. I said, yes, okay, I want it settled. Let's just do it. And then I thought about it. I was like, no, they're just trying to scare me. No one is going to sue me, because I can't even afford to pay everything right now, or to save any money. Everything I have, something happens. So I was like, don't believe everything that a salesperson is trying to tell you, and see in your own interest. And that was funny, because that day, so listen to the signs, because that day is when my car broke down and I had to go to the dealership and take a $20,000 loan to buy my car, because I wanted a new car, almost new car. So I didn't want to go back to the garage and everything. And in the end, I still end up with my $40,000 debt, except that I have a brand new car with that. Well, if I accepted the other offer, I would have the $40,000 and I wouldn't have been able to have a car. So, or I would be ending up with a $60,000 debt. Last minute I called, I was like, cancel everything, I'm not taking the loan. And I canceled that, and now my debt is resolved without having to take an interest. Now I'm just paying my debt without interest. So proud of my judgment, of being able to look around me and listen to the messages of the universe, the signs, synchronicities, because the universe talks to you all the time. Of course, if you have mentors and a community that encourages you, that also, of course, helps you believe a little bit more in yourself than if you have nobody and just people who tell you, oh, you're crazy, you're dreaming, or this is how you have to do it because this is how we always done it. So a great experience. I feel like the cycle is circled. I'm ready for this new start. I have my little family. I wanted to show you here. Bolty! I have my little kitty cat here. Where's my buddy? What's up, man? What's up, man? What's up, bud? What's up? Say hi, bud. Oh yeah, blah. That's it. That's the great bolt. Say hi, buddy. Thank you for watching, everybody. I am looking forward to this new New York City life. It's gotta be a yes or yes. There's no plan B. We're coming. I can see my little Esteban being a teenager in New York City. I'm excited about something new and exciting and meaningful. So thank you if you made it all the way here. Thank you for watching and reading all my applications and giving the chance to the new generations. And there is also new things coming up to solve every question and every problem to make it the best option for everybody. So I'm also grateful for that, because this boy right here, like I have a friend the other day who told me, I want a dog just like this. I'm gonna take a dog just like this. I was like, wait up. I might have something for you. I have a little package. But yeah, we'll see that I keep this boy in the family. So yeah, it's a very good day. So I wanted to share that with you. I wanted to say have a great trip to France, to Snoop Dogg and The Rock. Go to the Lérins Island, go to Paloma Beach in Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, go to Montmartre in Paris. I mean, you probably know the place better than me, but there's a little restaurant on Paloma Beach that is amazing. Lérins Island, you just go there with a picnic and a bottle of rosé, and you can walk around and you're gonna have the best time, and the water is just incredible. Go to the Point of the Dragon, walk around the little street of Cannes. I mean, of course, if you're The Rock, that might not be so easy. But yeah, I'm excited, and I wish you all to have a great week. Bye. And Mr. Guterres, let's travel the world and make it better. And last but not least, I would like to wish a happy birthday to Robert Edward Grant. Woo!
Who was that?
Say happy birthday, Esteban.
But who was that?
Robert Edward Grant.
Who was that?
One of the greatest mathematicians, if not the one, of all times.
Huh. Happy birthday.